there's a great combination of like little kids and then jaded internet hipsters, and they're all like equally enchanted at both things, which I really like. Ah, the rats are cooking, yay! So that's always good to see. This movie's been going on for 5 years. We were brought in 2 years ago, and I think we did about 11 sessions each, and they're like 3 hours apiece. And because you're working with Brad Bird, he gets these really intense performances. I mean, you saw the range, like the emotion that Janine went through in her scenes, that anger and love and everything. Oh, by the way, let me ask a question. Someone's going to ask. Did you study a French accent for this role, or?
I had a CD of a French man speaking English to another Frenchman, and then I lost that. And I watched CNN International a couple of times where there was a French anchor, and then that French anchor was gone. So I would sit, this is over 2.5 years, so I didn't have the heart to admit that I lost the disc.
Right.
And so I would just think of the word ceremony, excuse me, ceremony instead of ceremony. And I would just say ceremony, 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 and try and apply that to doing.
That was the key to Colette. Ceremony. And by the way, I'm sure you saw some of the other voices. You noticed Ian Holm was Little Skinner, and Peter O'Toole, of course, was Anton Ego, the critic. Here's a little story. When I was at Pixar one day, they had an early recording of, remember the scene where Anton Ego goes, "How can it be popular?" Like that really drawn out. Well, they had that early recording, and all the animators were like, "Oh, I can't wait to animate this." That was like, they were all working really hard, because whoever did, like, apparently whoever really did good work, they would get to animate that phrase. So they were all competing just for that one bit of film. That was like the Glengarry lead for those guys. Like, one of you gets to do popular. Put the coffee down.
And Linguini was an animator.
Linguini and Emile, Linguini the chef, and Emile, my kind of dopey brother, those are animators at Pixar that were laying down scratch tracks for other actors that they were eventually going to get, and they, you know, Brad Bird, being the genius he is, was just like, hey, you know, this is the voice, this is the perfect voice. All right, if you guys ever get a chance to go to the Pixar compound, oh my goodness, it is the coolest place I've ever been, like, where people work. It is just people's they let them decorate their own cubicles, so there's cubicles that look like caves and forests and weird Death Star rooms, or there's one guy there's one cubicle this one guy has that looks really, really normal, like so normal that something's obviously off, like he didn't do anything to it. And then he has in the cubicle that bust of Shakespeare from the Batman show, and if you crank it back and hit the button, this wall opens and there's a speakeasy behind his cubicle. He built a speakeasy. There's a gambling casino and there's drinks. It's nuts. And they eat cereal all day and play ping pong.
My take on it, because I went to the Pixar compound just to have the movie screened. I kept putting it off. I didn't know. It was I'm ashamed to admit I didn't know about the Brads. I'm sorry. I'm not proud of that. I just didn't. I knew The Incredibles and Iron Giant were very good. I didn't know about the Brads. I didn't know that when I was offered by the Brads, and as you know, I know it now. But
I explained it to you.
When you kept telling me, Patton kept telling me, you must see Ratatouille, and I thought he was just saying that because he was the lead of it. And so I was like, of course Patton likes it, he's in every scene. So, but then, and then they said, come see the movie, and I kept putting it off, and I went to see it at the Pixar compound, which has the screening room, enormous screening room. Not only that, they have created the night sky with all the constellations, Orion's Belt, the Big Dipper, and intermittent shooting stars randomly. Cricket sounds in the back.
It's amazing. Everything about it is.
It's shocking.
How can we make everything incredibly cool? And they have, like, okay, the scene where Linguini jumps into the river to save my jar. They dressed up one of their animators in a chef's outfit, and they tossed him into their pool so that they could see how the fabric would look wet, and then how it would look heavy, and how he would move differently. They take that much time to get everything perfect.
Well, it's like the Harvard, I assume, of animation, that people from around the world are vying for a finite amount of spots to work there.
Yeah.
So they make it an extraordinary experience, but they make sure that you produce so that you can stay there. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a beautiful environment with a make-your-own sundae bar, and there's a cappuccino. I'm not kidding. But also, I think that's so you don't leave. Well, like, they don't want you to not produce, and there's like a drum set and a basketball court and throw pillows around.
If any of you kids can draw, keep working at it, because you'll get
it's worth your while. You get to go to Pixar and every day's Casual Friday. You can wear denim every day.
I'm sorry, we're yammering. This is I mean, we're very, I can just speak for me, and I'm sure, as an actor, it's very rare that you get to be a part of what you know is a great film. Like, it's like, I'm like riding on a chocolate sundae that's on a jet ski that's on a pile of diamonds. Like, this is how crazy this is.
Fair trade diamonds, not blood diamonds.
Oh yeah, please.
Not blood diamonds.
So, all right, so, anyway.
You would have any of those.
This film was printed on porpoise skins. You know that, right? They actually slaughtered about 1 million porpoises, but it looks really good.
They were fed organically.
Yeah, it was worth it. So, sorry. Any other more questions? Anyone out there?
Since you're recording all the voices over a long period of time, when you watch the film, do you just when Remy says a line, does that just recall, like, wow, I had a really crappy day that day when I said that line? Does it all the past work of experiences? How does that?
Well, sometimes you would get. So here's what was really weird: is sometimes you would see lines because you only got the pages, your pages. So a lot of times you didn't really know what the whole story was. So I would read a line and go, I guess that sounds okay, and Brad Bird would be going, that was perfect, and I was thinking, no, that sounded really off for some reason. But then when you see it fit into a scene, and you go, oh, that was perfect, and he knew it was going to be perfect based on how the scene would go. So that's more startling to me, when you're like, I didn't know that I was that good that day. But Brad knew, because Brad's that much better. By the way, the scene where I'm going down the sewer with all the water, they dumped water over my head. In the sound booth, I had to look up, and they had this huge mixing bowl of water, and Brad Bird dumped it on me, and I had to try to not swallow it. So when you hear me gasping for air, I was really struggling, because Brad was like, are you okay? I'm like, I literally can't breathe. Ah, you'll be fine, here we go. So you really hear me struggling there. So the scene where I'm eating cheese, I was chewing on La Brea Bakery bread, which if you've ever had it, is this really chewy, great bread. And then the scene where I'm having strawberries, I actually ate, they gave me a really tart strawberry, because what I didn't know is, if you eat something like that that's tart, you, without knowing the corners, you know, like when you have something tart, it kind of corners your mouth going, like, oh, it's like, it changes your voice. So I was, you know, bread and strawberries, that's what I was eating. Bird and his wife took me and my wife to the French Laundry in Yountville, which is one of the, it's kind of what Gusteau's is based on. It's it takes 5 months to get a reservation there. There are these crazy 17-course meals. Their chef, Thomas Keller, designed the Ratatouille at the end of the movie, and when he was at the screening, when it came out of the oven, he almost started to cry. He was so happy. And he saw his Ratatouille. He was like, oh, that's my guy.
Who is your favorite voice of cartoon character?
Oh, you mean like an actual like voice actors out there right now? I'm a big fan of all the stuff that Clancy Brown does in cartoons now, because that guy, you know Clancy Brown from Carnival, the big.
Yeah.
Here's his range. He's Lex Luthor on Justice League, where he's like, we must destroy Superman. And then I've done SpongeBob SquarePants episodes where he's Mr. Krabby, and it's this giant behemoth guy sitting down going, oh, SpongeBob, and he works his little claws like this. It's just like, he's got that range. It's nuts. So he's kind of my current fave right now. You have a current fave, boys?
Hank Azaria?
Hank's great. Hank Azaria is awesome.
Harry Shearer?
Yeah. Hank Azaria is another one of those guys that you can hire him and you've got like 8 characters covered. He's like kind of a new Mel Blanc, the way Mel Blanc would, he could go from Tweety Bird to Yosemite Sam. That's ridiculous. You know, you watch all those Bugs Bunny cartoons, that's one guy. That's one guy doing a whole movie by himself, so that's crazy.